GTA. It's in the game. I'm just kidding, but I'm not. It's GTA 3 on 3. I'm Joseph Montico, and welcome back to the second edition of GTA 3 on 3's podcast. And let me tell you, week one was one hell of a week, which we're going to go over. But I just like to say before we start everything, it was a really good opening week for everything. We had 5 games. Obviously, every game there's going to be 5 games, and every team has to do the doubleheader. And the first team to do a doubleheader was Team Puckus, formerly Richmond Hill. And they played the first game against Team Kovalev. Now, this is an interesting matchup because Team Kovalev and Puckus were bottom of the table last year in 6th and 7th. But Puckus' only win came against them, and they actually opened up the season against each other, where Team Kovalev ended up winning a tight game, which then sent Puckus into a, formerly Richmond Hill, into a 11-game losing streak. So a lot of attentions, and Puckus needed to mentally win this game just to know that they have improved. Their squad, we know their squad has improved in net with more players, better quality players. We know this, but I think they needed to win this game. If they, going into this game, they need to win it for them to mentally know that they have improved, and to show everybody else, to show the other teams. And first things first, you got to give it up to their goalie. William Peralta played out of his mind. I don't even know what to say, because we'll get back to him in the second game. But guy was unbelievable. In the 2 games, we're not just including the first game, he saw 106 shots, which is more than anyone. Obviously, they played 2 games, but combining them, he averaged about 55 shots a game, which is ridiculous. And I think that's something they need to address. But the guy is unbelievable, and that's a humongous step up from what they had last year, and he gave him a chance to win the first and second games, both of them. Because if they didn't have him, honestly, they would have 100% lost the second game. Not even would have been close. And the first game, I think, would have been close, but we'll get back to that in a second. The final score was Puckus defeating Team Kovalev by a 15-9 score, a decently spread number there. The top scorers in this game for Team Kovalev was Daniele De Serbo with 5 goals and 1 assist. And Giancarlo led the way, the captain for Puckus, led the way with 3 goals and 2 assists. Now, Team Kovalev will point at the fact that they didn't have their goalie. Dan Apicam was not there. Obviously, a huge reason why they were successful in the playoffs last year to get by the first round. He was a huge reason. And obviously, putting in a guy in net who did very well under the circumstances, but not going to have the kind of abilities that Danny Apicam had something to do with the 15 against scoreline. But they got to look at themselves. Obviously, now, they got some key injuries with Marco Canonico with the hurt hand injury. There's all these rumors flying around. Is Peter Hermogildo going to join? Is he not going to join? If he is, when? A lot of that going around. And those are 2 really extremely good players between Canonico and Hermogildo. But with the squad that they have, and a lot of these guys had playoff experience, and this team basically didn't change from last year other than adding Johnny Altorio. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Now, you got to give Will, the goalie for Puckus, a tap of the nod of the cap. But you can't, in this league, I feel like you can't expect to win unless you score double digits. They didn't. Now 9 is pretty damn close, but they just weren't there in the first half. I watched the majority of the game, and the authority that Puckus came out with, and the excitement you could tell on the bench when they're young guys, they like getting fired up, and you could tell when they had the momentum swings, they were really big swings, and Team Kovalev couldn't cut it off. You let in 2-3 goals, you got to cut it off, and there were some stretches there where they let them in more than 2 or 3 goals in a row. But that's an impressive win for Puckus. Some really impressive players on the team that they just added. Obviously, some veterans, wily veterans like Christian and Giancarlo Montico, Daniel Pacito, obviously back. They got with the goal they got. They're definitely going to be a team to reckon with. I think they're going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack again, depending on how some results go, and we'll continue throughout the day. But this team, once I get to my season predictions, because I got flamed by some guy in Lethbridge, I don't know, some no-name guy named Tim Campbell. Completely roasted me for not giving proper season predictions, so we're going to go back into that. But I think this team is way better than they are last year, and some other teams are going to have to take notice as we'll go into the second game here. So for Game 3, Puckus versus Pawn Squad, the middle game of the night, and this was by far the best game of the night. It came down nail biter, this one. Really, really good game. The teams match up very, very well as well. Both goalies, listen, if these two guys are not at least top 3 or 4 in the league in goaltending at the end of the year, I'll be really shocked. Again, Will Peralta played out of his mind again for Puckas. It's ridiculous. This guy's an amazing goalie, and some of the feedback I got was great from both the teams they played against. So if he can keep this up, he's going to give them a chance to win every game. The final for this one was Pawn Squad won 10-9. They were up 10-5. Puckas came riling back with 4 goals. The momentum on their side, a slashing call with 20 seconds left on Pawn Squad, left them a 3-on-2 with 20 seconds left to win the game. I thought for sure they were going to score. I thought for sure. They just couldn't get it organized at the end on that power play. With 20 seconds, you should at least be getting a couple grade A quality shots on net. They couldn't get it in, set it up, and kudos on Pawn Squad for just being able to close the game out now.